fine. Okay. Hello, my name is SELENA CAWNMORE, and I have. I would like to come and tell you about some of the things you might not know about the Aubergine Cafe Aubergine story, Aubergine Cafe origin story. We'll get there in a minute. I think that one thing I know is that there are a lot of parents at this event who are worried about what's going to happen or what opportunities are going to be available for their... I was about to say crotch goblets. I need to remember I'm in a professional environment now. But, you know, they're sprogs. Spawn, offspring. No, seriously though, I think there are a lot of people who think I just don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how my kid's going to make friends, whether they're going to be able to get a job and so on, because they're the sort of person that when they get upset, you will find them on the floor in the bathroom, banging their head on the ground, and next thing you know, they have a head injury. And all of you successful autistics are different to my kid. I don't think we're that different. I think that the difference is that you don't see it when we are banging our head against the floor until it bleeds. Because we've been trained from when we were very little, and we picked it up very well, this art of masking, of pretending to be, of learning how to behave in the way that's expected of you. That's what we're trying a lot of the time. That's why we're exhausted a lot of the time. But we are the same people. I feel, though, that the difference is that some of us have developed a way to communicate our needs and develop coping mechanisms, all masking techniques. But yeah, so I thought it was really, I feel like an event like this is really important to bring autistic adults together into a space where we can be those role models that we never got to see for ourselves, where young autistic people can come and go, wow, that is the person who has just the same kind of challenges as I face every day, and they are what we would see as successful. So, who am I? Am I doing clicker?
You can do
clicker. That's me. Neurotypical people love to do this. They put a little baby picture up, and I think it's kind of cute, and I found it, and I was looking for pictures, and I was like, do you know what? That'll work. That fits the formula, right? But my name is SELENA CAWNMORE. I am the founder and one of the directors of Aubergine Cafe. I use my 27 years of experience in designing and delivering education programs in all sorts of things: sexual health, drugs, disability, smoking, really like sensitive topics, and my experience in working with disabilities, and now as a director, having founded Aubergine Cafe in 2018, and I use that experience to try and create safer spaces for neurodivergent people. For those of us who perhaps as well don't maybe meet the criteria for like the traditional services, actually we probably do in lots of ways. We haven't worked out quite how to ask for those sorts of support. And with access support, I started receiving access to work support recently, which has been life-changing. But yeah, so there we go. And well, why am I here? Well, we've got a little video, if it will work for us. Am I allowed to go there?
Yeah, try it.
It's YouTube. Oh no, failed. Oh, gross.
Sorry,
Should we try? Can we go to YouTube and open it in YouTube?
Don't see why not.
So I'm going to. I was invited on to. I've had actually. We get approached a lot by documentary filmmakers to ask about our story. get a lot of people who want to hear our story and want to publish it, and then like we never really hear from them again. And that's kind of nice and stuff, but it is a lot of work for us to do that. We have to remember that we've only got so much of ourselves to give. But then also, that's not part of the presentation, Sarah, don't worry. Sarah's one of our directors. Where was I? I'm trying to like follow. Oh, it's not Aubergine. You see, if you go for Selena CAWNMORE, sorry.
Do you want me to do it?
Yeah.
I didn't say ring.
I put it on my page because, well, for a couple of reasons, but mostly because I don't want Aubergine to get into trouble for producing this without permission. I don't want. Right, we are here. Let me just see. Sound.
Here, down that corner, sorry.
Okay, got you.
And then just put that all the way up. Oh.
Just going to go back to the beginning for you.
They were talking about autism, just explaining what it is, and I just thought, she was talking about me.
Oh, yeah, it's full screen. Dyspraxic as well.
I sort of distinctly remember feeling a bit different. Just like little things. And quite often it's not enough really to go, oh, okay, there's something like really different about this person. Quirky, they might have called me. Coffee shops, I think a lot of people imagine them as places where you can go sit down, have a cuppa, catch up with your friends, have some conversation. For a lot of autistic people, it's a bit of a sensory nightmare. There's a way that a typical brain works, which filters out a lot of the background noise, so that what you're focusing on is like at the forefront. We are quite often absent of that. So we hear everything all the time. The espresso machine, they're like autistic screen machines. After leaving uni, I started working in disabilities, and I got a job at this place in Cardiff, which is a residential school for children and young people who are autistic. They were talking about autism, just explaining what it is, explaining what like the challenges are and how to support people who are autistic, and I just thought, they're talking about me. And I remember holding back tears because there was a little part of me that was just like, it explains so much. The last place I worked, where I worked for someone else, that was around the time I was diagnosed, when I was 34. That led to this unusual pattern of them sending me to occupational health to see an outside doctor. I started having a meltdown. You could physically see it, so I would have started like shaking and sweating. My voice would have changed. I was in so much distress. I ended up with a head injury. Somebody from outside had to ring the desk to tell my boss, you need to go and check on your staff. And I thought that I'd never... After I left that day, I went home and I thought that I'd never work again. Just, I guess, took some time to reflect. And then I remember posting on Facebook, I've worked out why being in a job is so hard. It's because all the other colleagues aren't autistic. And it was a little rant. And then somebody then said, now that sounds like a business plan. And it got me thinking. That's where the dream started. I came up with the idea of starting a cafe. And I wanted to see a space where we didn't have to pretend or try to fit in with society, where we could just be ourselves. When people come into this cafe and they suddenly realise that other cafes don't feel this way, they don't feel this calm. And we've done whatever we can to remove as many of the different layers of unnecessary sound as possible. We don't store cutlery in here. We've got a really quiet coffee machine to just help make people feel more comfortable. It's a bit like trying to reinvent the wheel. We're trying to say, well, what doesn't work about traditional workplaces, and let's try something else. So I wanted to give employment opportunities to neurodivergent people where they're not judged on what they're struggling with, but instead where we explore their strengths. I didn't want other people, especially autistic people, to have to get to a rock bottom in order to be able to get a step on a ladder.
Close that one then, and open up PowerPoint again. Is that right? There we go. Ta-da. So that was a BBC documentary. We do get a lot of documentary filmmakers coming to us, and some of them are kind of, you can tell they're just sort of like there for the interesting story, and some people, like the guy Zen who worked with me on this, was just incredible. I do believe he's neurodivergent as well. My armchair diagnosis, I recognise it's not ethical, but I've never been wrong. Who's going to see this? Me. Zen, your ADHD man, come on. Well, no, he was great, honestly. But we talked for days. We filmed for well over a day to get that short thing. And I told him a lot of my story. What this video doesn't tell you is that when I first started the cafe, I was homeless. This is a picture of me. Hang on, let me full screen it. Sorry. This is me on my boat at the time, and it's hang on, watching from Courage Slide. There we go. So this is me getting my keys to my boat, and it looks great because, you know, on Instagram or whatever, that's kind of what you see. But inside this little, it was a tiny boat, and I'm not a tiny person. I couldn't stand up straight in it. I was physically unwell. I was in bed most of the time, and it was winter, and the lights were like installed in the 70s, and they was really old and barely worked. And do you want me to stand closer to you, Sarah, so you can hear? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I was alone a lot of the time. I was in Penarth Marina, one of the most expensive places to live in Wales, and there was like $1 million yachts like next to me, and there was me in my £5,000 boat bringing the bringing the standard down from all of these like millionaires. Actually, I just learned that people with big boats, they just have more debt than you. They're not actually richer than you. So I was sort of surviving at the time when I wasn't sleeping in the cold, damp boat by like pet sitting and house sitting, Sofasurfing. That's how I got by. People would, instead of paying me, sort of like be like, can you look after my house and my pet and help yourself to food and drink and stuff? And I'm like, great, because I have no job, I have no home, this is brilliant. But what it meant for me being in that position is that I was at my own personal rock bottom. I had nothing else to lose. And that was the only reason that I felt able to be able to take a risk. what I realised was that nobody's gonna sort this out for us. That we're gonna have to do it for ourselves, because it felt like nobody really understood. Even those who were there saying, like, putting in support in place, sometimes because they didn't have the lived experience, they didn't quite see it from our point of view, and their goal was to make us behave in a more neurotypical standard, because that's what success looks like. Where's my notebook? It's here. La 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 la, ADHD, da 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 da. I remember actually being in workplaces though, and challenging processes. Why do we do it like this? Why do we have to fill this format 3 different times when it's the same information? And quite often, and I'm sure there'll be people here will recognise this. Please nod along if you do. It's like, well, that's just how it's done.
Yeah.
That's how we've always done it. And I was like, yo, neurotypical people can't think for themselves. That's when I realised that neurotypicality is a cult. And not one that I consented to. So I started my own cult. No, I mean really, it's yes. Some people call me charismatic. I don't get it myself. Some people call me charming. How do you do? So I could be that charming, charismatic cult leader, I suppose. We have our own language, like neurospicy and whatnot. Are you an auberginista, perchance? Yeah. So yeah, we're a cult. But what does what is our ethos really? When it comes down to it, we want to be the role models that we never got to see for ourselves. We need people to aspire towards, and I've struggled myself. And I found my role model. Her name is Emily D. Baker. She's a lawyer. I'm a law nerd. She's a YouTuber as well. And I spoke to her the other day and made her cry by telling her about Aubergine and why it's important. And the reason why she is my role model is because she shows her vulnerability. She's a lawyer. She's like a famous YouTuber and all of this stuff. She's got this huge following. And she says, I cannot do this without support. And she shows us, she talks about the reasonable adjustments that she's got in place for herself. And I realised that that's what I needed to see, because I'm trying to be this role model and I didn't have one for myself yet. So role modelling is a huge thing. It's a beacon to say, if you're autistic, if you're neurodivergent, because really we can't pick apart all of those traits very cleanly and say this is autism and this is ADHD and dyspraxia and so on. So we do celebrate the neurodivergent, the neurodiversity umbrella at Aubergine. We are autistic led, which is a term that has got a different meaning to different people. What we mean by it is that at least 50% of the management, directors and so on, the people who lead the organisation, are autistic, neurodivergent. There are a lot of organisations that will call themselves led, but actually they've got voluntary groups or a number of the staff and they don't have people in management positions and so on. We also make a point of asking to be paid, because the weird thing is, as a professional with almost 30 years experience in this field and almost 42 years experience of being autistic, I don't get paid for events like this because I'm an autistic, not a professional, even though I'm a professional. in this field, they can't pay me because then they'll have to pay all of the. I'm not picking on this. This is a charity thing that needs to change. And as autistics, please ask to be paid. They might not pay you, but please ask, because they need to know that that's what the expectation is. We shouldn't expect to never be paid because we are autistic. That should never, ever be the ethos of any charity or organisation or statutory body who says that they are for us. Okay, especially if they're not run by us. So please ask to be paid. That's really important. What else is in our ethos? We wanted Aubergine to be a place where you could be all of your identities at once. What do I mean by that? Well, okay. Let me give you an example. Okay, so for me, so I've got like, this is a non-autistic example, but it's about identity. So I've got like family that are sort of uber religious. We're going to go high control group, almost kind of cult sort of religion, right? Uniforms and stuff. No dancing, kind of like stuff. And so I felt like I had to behave differently in front of them by toning down the queerness, right? But then in other places, it was like, oh, this is Selena. Selena actually, does some talks on like anti-racism and so on. So it's kind of like, all right, so if I'm here being black, then maybe I have to tone down the queerness here too? Or wait, hang on. In some workplaces, if you're autistic and you present as a woman and you say what you think and you're black, you're called an angry black woman. So I have to tone down the blackness in jobs. And it's like, I mean, I can't tone down the blackness much more. Have you seen, like okay, I legit cannot go in the sun at the moment because my medication. But honestly, we wanted somewhere where you could just come in and just go, and you leave the neurotypical rules at the door. In this space, this is our space, and if people want to come join it, neurotypical people, you're all welcome, that's fine, but just, behave. Hey, eye contact! Well, okay. I don't want to tell you everything about Aubergine because I really want you to come. I want you to come and visit, and I want you to join us in whatever way you want to, whether it be as a customer, a volunteer, or as somebody who delivers workshops, or an artist, or whatever. We do many things, but yes, what do we do? We are a cafe. It says that in the name. But we're not only a cafe. Oh, yeah, Richard, that's you.
In the middle.
Right, sorry. So we're a cafe, but the cafe is a tool. That's not all it is. We are a national arts organisation, and we became a national arts organisation as a response to our community. So another part of the ethos is we ask our community what they want. We don't think, well, what would be good? How can we fill in the gaps in these issues? We ask them and ourselves, because we are a community too, what they want. Gosh, what am I talking about? Anyone? Oh yes, that's right. So we were doing this distant stuff during the pandemonium, and we started applying for money so that we could properly pay autistic artists a professional freelance fee to come and do talks or workshops and so on. And that was really important. Why? Because we are the most discriminated in the workforce. So to not pay autistic people is feeding into that. There are some people, though, who don't want to be paid because it makes it complicated with universal credit and all sorts of things, and a lot of people just don't even want to go there because it's too much to deal with, and I absolutely understand that. But yeah, that's okay. We're also, we do research and development, we do training and consultation. We can come into a place and do a sensory audit. That's something neurotypical people can't do because they don't have the same sensory issues as us. They can't hear the same things as us. But what you might find, though, is that by having autistics who are like, it's like we experience the human experience but on the edges, you know? Like sounds can be maybe just a bit louder or quieter and sensors and things. We're like, rather than the normal, if you imagine, I don't know if anyone does like graphs and things, but like a bell curve graph, we're not the normal bit in this section, we're like the edges, the experiences. If you can make a workplace or an environment autism friendly, and then you examine the actual changes that you're making, they are people friendly changes. And we see this throughout the evidence-based research that's been done around autism-friendly spaces. Now, if I was being paid today, I would give you references and everything, but honestly, I can't afford that. I'm too expensive. I'm just being sassy now, aren't I? I think I might be going over time. So I've talked a little bit about Are You Team Aubergine? It's those little things. It's things like trying to figure out what your rights are and being that voice for one another. If we can all support one another to sort of like get out of this mess and maybe do some self-employment and whatever. I'm going to start whizzing through a bit because I think this next thing is really important. Because one thing you need to ask is how do you know if what you're doing is working? People tell us even when we don't ask. And some people tell us in the most lovely ways. We get letters and emails and we get little crochet aubergines made for us and all sorts. We had this letter recently. This is just a recent letter on this beautiful parchment paper, and it was hand delivered. And there's a picture of it there. I just want to read this out to you because I think that this says it better than I can. Dear Aubergine, we travelled a long way to get here. Our favourite refuge away from home. We visited in November last year. You helped me pick my order. I bought a badge. I was safe. It was then that you changed my life by opening my mind to the possibility that I could have a future as an agoraphobic queer autistic person. You're a bastion of hope for people like me, and you must be protected at all costs. It is with that I pledge 100 to your Crown funder. I hope it finds you well. Thank you. And they travelled from Bournemouth to come and give this to us. Sorry. Stuff like that makes me cry. It's more than just a place where people can kind of get some experience or be themselves, find some refuge, some information, or do some art. It is a lifesaver for some people. You know, there are some people that I'm not sure would. Sorry. I lost a friend this week who was part of our community, and he worked with Aubergine. I'm sorry, I know this is really sad, but it's just thank you. It's just thanks. I don't know if you know, but the statistics for God, I'm going to go all YouTube language now. And aliving oneself is so much higher for autistic people than any other group. And in whatever form of recovery people are in, we know that the single most important factor in recovery is is support networks, is community, is that social kind of network. So Aubergine keeps people alive. I do believe that. It feels really weird segueing into this now, but like we have moved to our new premises. We've had a really tough few years. This is our fundraiser as of like yesterday, and as you can see, we're not anywhere near our target yet. We would like to invite you, if you can, to find our crowdfunder. It's on the crowdfunder website, and share that on your social media or with people that you know. If anyone wants to do an activity or a sponsored event, please get in touch with us. We'd really like some help. And I invite you as well to connect with us. So come be in the space. Come sign up as a volunteer. Or if you're not sure about that yet, come just come get to know us, see how you feel, and there's always opportunities to join in. We'll be looking for new kitchen staff soon. So if anyone's got any kitchen experience, would be great. Or if anyone's got team leading experience or can do rotas, that would be awesome. But yes, thank you. Do find us then on all of these channels. If you want to contact me, especially, you will reach me at SELENA at auberginecafe.co.uk. That would be things like if you wanted to talk about anything to do with like strategy or training, consultancy, that kind of stuff. Hello is our general one. So if you would like to volunteer or something, get in contact there. That's our website where you'll find our socials. And if you would like to follow me on YouTube, because my own creative journey will be moving forward, it's SELENA CAWNMORE. You can find me there, where you'll find that video. And do look out for other things. On the 3rd floor, we've got a table. So I'm going to pop back up there now. We're going to be like packing up soon. Because I've had to pay a support worker £25 an hour to attend today, so it's been a very expensive day, and I've not been paid, and it's just ridiculous.
The event finished at 4.
Yeah, it does, but like I can't afford to pay a support worker till 4. It's not accessible.
What it is that we're allowed to go early because can't afford to pay for support worker till then.
Well, kind of. It's not about being allowed. It's like, well, we just better. Right, the neurotypicals have taught me some things. It's better to ask for forgiveness than permission.
That's what neurotypicals teach you.
Well, that's one thing they teach us.
Better to ask for forgiveness than permission. Learnt that.
So yeah, sometimes learned it based on that. Actually, that's how most neurotypical people just function. We're just all really good and then feel really bad when we don't do things properly.
But actually, neurotypical people are just as happy being asked for forgiveness.
It's going to be a deep conversation. I think we should record this to go on the YouTube channel. This would be a good conversation. No, we will get to the bottom of this. It just takes a while. SELENA, that's me.
You're SELENA. She's SELENA. I'm Sarah.
Sarah's one of our directors. So yes, we've got 3 directors here today. But yeah, and Sarah's in charge of due diligence, because that book where you have to like make sure that the fridge temperatures are done, nobody is going to be as critical as this one. It's going to be like either the day or the date's wrong. Which one is it? So there we go. That's why she's in charge of that. But also she absolutely understands what a director's job is, and nobody can sway her decision making, which is great. Love that.